Welcome Pisces, and this is your reading from Kat's Real Life Mystic Tarot. This is a reading for August 2019, and I have to tell you, this is the third video I've made for you, so I hope that I don't have a glitch in my technology. I don't know what happened, but I've had a hard time, and I'm gonna try one more time. I wanted to let you know before we get started, there's something coming up this week on the 8th of August. This is called the Lionsgate Portal. It's an astrological event. And I guess in antiquity, what they studied was that Sirius is passing through Leo. And it's an increased time where spirit can come down, like a portal where you can receive downloads or you can receive information. So it's kind of an interesting time. There's increased cosmic energy during this time. So I wanted to just let you know to keep an eye out for Thursday. I'm doing this video on Tuesday. And I'm kind of excited to see how that goes, and hopefully it's not too disruptive. So before I started, I pulled a Major Arcana card as an energy for Pisces for August, and it looks like we've got the Magician. The Magician is an energy of you can do anything. It's a very creative energy. You might find August to be extremely creative for you, and maybe this download gives you an idea of something that you want to do, or increases your creativity in whatever you're doing right now. The Magician is a communicator. He can be a liar, so you want to watch out for deception. But if you have a job in sales, you're going to be amazing. If you have a creative job, I mean, really amazing there. Just kind of just a magical energy. So it's a good card to have for the month. Okay. And then something else that I wanted to mention, my camera seems to want to quit at 28:41. So if it does seem like I get cut out at 28:41, there will be a part 2. We might just wrap it up before then, if everything goes well, but just know that. First of all, let's go ahead and just gaze into the flame and take a couple of deep breaths. And just release all those tensions that have built up over the day, or the week, or the month. This has been, or July, for that matter. It's been a tough go lately, and with the events in the news and all that stuff. So let's just let it go, bring peace to ourselves. And hopefully peace to the world at some point. Let's breathe it in. And just let it out. All right, Pisces. I was called to use, I think this is called the Gill Tarot. I have to look it up. Or if anybody can leave a comment and let me know if they have this and they know what it is. I haven't used it in a long time, and it just jumped out at me that I needed to use it for your reading. So I'm gonna use the Gill Tarot. And what I do is a horoscope reading. So I'm gonna get some information in every area of your life. It's 12 houses, and they represent a different area of your life. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I'll explain it as I go. If any tarot cards pop out, I will use them, and it's a very strong energy for the month. But if nothing does, I just select cards. All my decks I've shuffled before the camera, just not to waste time. But then I'll give it a kind of a short shuffle before we start. So, first house, second house, third house, fourth house, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th. All right, Pisces, I'm gonna have a glass of water. A little cup, sip. Let's get started. Okay, so the first I'm tongue-tied, I'm sorry. The first house is the house of self, what you're projecting to the world. And we have the King of Pentacles. So you're projecting a very solid image to the world. And this is how you're seeing yourself right now. So financially, pretty good and stable, healthy, in charge, a certain amount of mastery that you have right now. The second house is your values, your assets, your talents, and we see the Lovers. So you value relationships, you value emotional decisions and thinking that are for the greater good. Basically, your values are people. I mean, in caring about other people's feelings and concerns. Third house is what's going on with you mentally. And this is the house of this is a major arcana. And this is Temperance. And it's in your third house, which is the house of your mental thoughts, thought patterns, and that. So you're experiencing moderation in your mind, or striving for moderation in your thoughts. So avoiding any extremes. If you do have an extreme thought, you tone or talk yourself into a more reality-based thought. Try not to get carried away with your fears in that. It seems that you're doing pretty well with that. Also, if you're on a health regime or anything like that, your mind is on making sure that you get the proper nutrition, exercise, in balance, and it kind of goes along with your first house energies, your King of Pentacles, because you know, anything in the Pentacles, and a king shows the mastery, but in the Pentacles, it's really thoughts of material and health consciousness. So this goes along with it. So just thinking about moderation and keeping even keel. In your fourth house, you have the Ace of Swords. So you might be doing something in your home. Maybe you're going back to the Magician and the creativity. You could be writing, because Magician's definitely a master of words. But if that's the case, you really quite brilliant. I mean, the Ace of Swords is all aces are kind of a new start, kind of a new in the inception of something, and swords are of the mind. And this, being that it's not does not have a physical person on it, it's just purely that energy. In your home, there's something you're working on, possibly, that's quite brilliant. In the fifth house, we have Passion. Now, your fifth house is children, love affairs, and creativity. So, Eight of Wands can be very swift and passionate, impulsive, hard to control sort of energies. And it looks like, I would want to say that it's probably maybe a romantic situation that's going on that you feel very impulsive about. Now, I will go through and clarify all of these with the second deck. So we'll find out exactly what it's about, if it's really the creative project, or is it a love affair. Sixth house. This is of your work, your service, to society. This work, as opposed to the 10th house, the 10th house is really your career or your calling in life. In the 6th house, it's really much more just your job. And I feel like that's exactly how you feel about your job. It's just a job. Boredom, possibly, kind of disinterest. You've seen it all before, done it all before. Nothing's new to you here, that type of thing. Really wish you could be doing something else. sort of energy. And it was interesting. I had a friend of mine over, and he doesn't really know tarot, but he was giving me his sort of amateur tarot reading, and he knows nothing. And I got this card in the reading. And it's funny because he interpreted it to say, just ignore your emotions. That's what this means to him. And you know, it wasn't bad advice, because when I'm grumbling and, you know, let's say I don't enjoy my work, and kind of just, you know, whinging, as the Brits say, just not happy with it, it doesn't help. So it's a really good time to just ignore your emotions, you know, put one foot in front of the other, get the job done until things change. This is required of you. So, in the 7th house, oh boy, Pisces. I think you have a love affair, and possibly feeling like this could actually be, you know, possible marriage, you know, type of person, someone you might want to, you know, make a commitment with. This is all very sudden. So, you know, you had 8 of Wands in the 5th house, which means a sudden passion, sudden movement towards someone. And then in the 7th house, this is a Ace of Rods, kind of the, I don't know if someone, kind of the boner card. That's what somebody said. So, I mean, it kind of is. I mean, it's like really hot action, but it's all really very quick to make a commitment. Beware of those types of, you know, that don't get locked into something crazy. But we'll clarify later. The 8th house. The 8th house is a house of sex, death, taxes, other people's money. So things that you don't say in polite company sometimes, or really talk about in depth in polite company. Right here you have the 8 of Cups. And 8 of Cups to me is walking away. It's not a winning situation. The emotions in the situation you find yourself in seem a little stagnant and just, I don't know, dirty. I don't know. So you really, there's nothing there for you. You just would rather just step out of that situation. So that's basically what I see in your 8th house. So what that could technically be, if there is an inheritance and they're squabbling over this and that, or even just the pictures or belongings of someone who is deceased, you know, it can get kind of ugly. And so, I mean, if it's something like that where you're just like, okay, you guys work it out. I don't need anything. I don't need this, and I don't need to see this, you know, from you. Or taxes, maybe, you know, if they sent you a bill for taxes, or you need, you know, there's this liability that you need to pay, you just might go ahead and pay it, just to be, you know, just get out of the, I don't know, just the loop of, you know, paperwork or what have you. So anyway, 8th house. In your 9th house, your 9th house is higher learning. So college, could be religion. If you're interested in religion, can be if you're following a guru or a yogi, anything like that. And also could be court cases. So if there were a court case associated with a deceased person in the 8th house, as we were just speaking of, the court case is pretty difficult. This is the 6 of Swords, and it's crossing, you know, kind of a different passage from one place to another. Difficult passage. And it's, I mean, just that. It's a difficult passage. It could be school, you know, and that's never easy. Might be kind of a little bit of a slog, but you're getting from one place to another, and it's necessary that you do this and reach the other side of wherever. Often depicted for the 6 of Swords is a woman and her child being transported across a river in a boat. And you get the sense that she doesn't know what she's going to find on the other side, but there's nothing towards the back. Like where she came from, she has to leave. And so no expectation that it's going to be an easy passage, but there's no choice. She has to see what's on the other shoreline. So you're heading that way. 10th house energies. This is your career house, Pisces. In your career. So in your career, you have the Two of Swords, which means you really need to make a choice. But kind of an impartial choice. You need to use your head, not your heart in this situation. Now may not be the time to make the choice. You may want to sit on it for a little while and really weigh the choices that you have available to you. So you might be waiting, if it's two different, let's say you're in school and you have two majors and you're still not really certain which one, and maybe it's even a third one, weighing out two things. If you're working two jobs and you're not sure which is the one that's best for you in the future, you might check that out, just wait on it. So it involves waiting, and you're going to eventually have to make some type of choice. The 11th house, King of Swords. So the 11th house is really social groups. And this is interesting, having the King of Swords here. In social groups, you have some sort of mastery, and you're quite brilliant. So, or it could be that there's someone that you're following, perhaps on social media or something like that. So if that's the case, there's something in it for you. I mean, this person is coming up in your reading. So there's some message in there for you. Or it's you yourself, and you have like some sort of account where you're spreading some knowledge. I think it might be somebody that you're following on social media that's inspiring to you. 12th house is what's unseen. What's unseen in your world? What you don't know about. And this, it's probably something about, it's an authoritative man or woman that's in charge of their world. That could be you, or you in the future, or you're not seeing the potential for yourself in that. It could be a representative of your father, the Emperor. So maybe you haven't seen your father, or there's something going on with your father that you might want to check out. It could be a leader, if there's leadership, or even a political leader, if there's something unknown to you about that, or something unseen to you about that. We'll clarify. I'm not exactly sure where we're going with that. So that's the first round of your 12 houses, and I'm going to clarify. I think I want to use the Thelema deck. This is one of my favorite decks. I really like this deck. And so we'll just further characterize what's going on in each of those areas of your life. So in the first house, where you're the King of Pentacles, you're coming across as the King of Pentacles, as having money. And the Emperor again. So the Emperor is you, which we just talked about in the 12th house. So you don't see it, possibly, yourself as boss. But you have all the qualities of boss. But you just don't see yourself that way. So that's combining the information from the 12th and the first house. So, alternatively, you don't see yourself as behaving like your father, the things you don't see about your father. That could be an alternative interpretation. But I'm really feeling stronger that you have the potential to be a boss, and you just don't see yourself that way. In the second house, what's on your mind, your assets. This is your assets and talents. And boy, we had a jump. And look at that. Isn't that ironic? It's the Magician. So that was if you recall, that's what I pulled for your whole month, was the Magician. And now we're getting it again as your assets, your talent, what you have to offer. So, and we talked about that as maybe writing, but could be any type of creativity. Interesting, Pisces. I'm excited for you. I mean, there's something really amazing there. Yeah. And because the Lovers came up, I don't know, maybe as a therapist, you could be a relationship therapist. There could be something like that for you. So I don't know. Can we have one more for this, since this Magician came up again? Can we have just one more card for Pisces to clarify? One more card. And I got Temperance. Interestingly, that's your third house is Temperance. So there's a very consistent reading going on. Now, in this one, you could go with therapy, and this could be possibly like a drug abuse therapist. Is there something like that? Some addiction therapy? That would fall into Temperance. And also with your King of Pentacles, where you're very healthy and feeling balanced, you may be able to help others achieve sobriety. You could be a speaker. You could be a just a personal counselor. Certainly, there's a need for it right now because of the opiate abuse and all that. So I don't know if that's it, but you're having some very consistent callings here. Now, in your third house, we got Temperance. I'm going to skip that because we just covered it, I believe, there. So in your home, you have the Ace of Swords. And let's see how that's going to manifest in your home. King of Wands. So mastery, charisma, the ability to incite inspiration in others. So this is in your fourth house, and it could be happening in your home. You might, if you are a therapist, you might be able to have an office in a home, or meetings in your home. Or it could relate to a parent, because the fourth house can also be a parent, either mother or father, astrologically. So if it is like a father figure, like I had suggested earlier, possibly he may have been kind of charismatic like this and been able to move or sway others. Similar to like a preacher or salesperson or politician. Like, not that I love politicians, I do not, but there's an ability to sway the public, and you may have gotten it from him. And this is not for everybody, but that's just another thing that came to mind. In the fifth house, let's find out, because you have something happening romantically as well. Let's see what's going on there. Oh boy, do you ever. You have a hot number. And it looks like you've already engaged in some, I mean, it would be hard to resist with all this wand energy, Pisces. This is a hot love relationship. And this could be a man or woman. If you're a male and interested in females, this can be a female as well. It's the energies are not gender specific. But anyways, Knight of Wands. And what else about this person? Tell me more about this person. Now, Knight of Wands has got a bad reputation of like kind of coming and going. So just a heads up there of being kind of Seven of Wands is another thing. It's going to be a tough battle if you choose this person to fight off competition and all of that might be going on. And more wands. So this is a very heated relationship. And just real quickly, since we're on the topic, in the seventh house, what's the potential of this person as a marriage partner? What advice does Pisces need, since they're kind of having the idea that this might be a marriage partner for them. So I got Ace of Pentacles. So it could be a success or an initial success. Bringing it down to earth is important. So focusing also on not only the passion, but also the practicality. So you have to bring the practicality in right away of that situation. 6th house, your house of service and work, where you're feeling kind of like, don't love this. 9 of Swords. Negative thinking. So it's kind of what we said earlier. Just ignore your emotions. Put one foot in front of the other. Let it fuel you into your next career or the next thing that you're interested in. 8th house. So in the 8th house, you had the walking away from kind of uncomfortable emotional energies in your world. Something to clarify that. The Empress has something to do with your mother. It can have something to do with a pregnancy or someone that thinks they're pregnant. If a previous relationship, if you're a male and she's claiming in the previous relationship that she's pregnant, there could be something like that going on. Yeah. So let me get one more card on that and see if there's anything more. I don't think this is important really to you. I mean, not that this person is not important, but I'm just saying like the 8th house, I don't think there's anything that significant here, but let's see. So I got the Lovers again. So it's about a sexual relationship. It's about another person. She or he may not be letting go, could be what I'm seeing here. You do have a hot new lover. There's something that's really passionate there, but there might be somebody else that has, a bone to pick with you, I would say. And you just want to walk away. You don't want to deal with this kind of ugly, kind of the ugly emotions that go with it. That kind of situation. 9th house, a difficult passage. So are we talking here about being in school, higher learning? Is there a court case of some sort? What's going on in the 9th house for Pisces? What's going on in the 9th house for Pisces? Okay, so sensitivity, intuition. So this makes sense to me in that you might be getting a download in the 8th house of intuition, of the cosmos, communicating to you. And you might watch out on Thursday, that being the apex of this time, to see if anything wants to communicate, or if there's anybody says something that triggers something, or if any thoughts come into your head, they might be important to you. You are having, and it'll feel like a difficult passage because you're going to feel like, what is this message I'm getting? But it looks like you're going to have some intuitive messages coming up, and would be a 9th house energy. So, and this is a major arcana, so you're getting quite a few major arcana